What's up, nerds? Plugged In is back and better than ever. I'm your host, Daniel, along with Owen and Anthony. Today we're talking about the end of Loki, Game of the Year, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon, and Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic. Let's roll that intro. First topic of the evening, Loki. What are your guys' initial thoughts on how that ended?
Honestly, I feel like with the finale being completed and everything, I think that Marvel has finally set in stone their best like featured TV show.
Okay, yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, anything past Endgame has been iffy at the most, inconsistent with No Way Home to Doctor Strange and, things not aging all that great. Owen, what are your initial thoughts? I know you didn't watch it, but what have you heard?
I've heard good things about it. I've heard there's a kind of a plot twist in it. So I'm excited for that. It will be hard to top WandaVision, though, for me, because WandaVision was my personal favorite Marvel show.
Yeah. Lots of multiverse things. Do you guys have any theories for our next Kang? Or is Kang the Conqueror from Ant-Man going to come back?
It's tough. I mean, with everything surrounding Jonathan Majors, I heard they changed the name of the new Kang Dynasty movie coming up to something else. I heard there was a rumor going around.
Interesting.
I saw it on social media, and I don't know how reliable that is, but
I don't know. I feel like they really, so far, have kind of downplayed Kang. And maybe that's just my opinion, but like the first time that we are like really introduced to Kang as a villain, he gets beat by Ant-Man and by ants, and then there was also MODOK and his cheeks being shown on screen. So, I feel like that wasn't exactly the greatest introduction.
So you're saying the introduction to Kang was in Ant-Man and not in the season 1 finale of Loki with He Who Remains? Because I thought He Who Remains was terrifying. Like, the most sinister villain out there, like a major step up from Thanos.
I saw that episode. He Who Remains gave me the willies. I can't even lie. Like, he was up there in terms of...
He Who Remains versus Ant-Man Quantumania is like comparing, for lack of better terms, Rick from Rick and Morty to Dumb Rick from Rick and Morty.
Or Morty from Rick and Morty.
Or Morty. Except, he doesn't wear yellow, but he still gets beat by Ant-Man. So, Kang is a really impressive character in the comics. He's always been like a multiversal threat because he just is always there. But I don't know, I feel like we haven't really gotten the chance to really see that side of Kang besides the One Who Remains. And I hope that they do something better with him.
I think it's just part of it's the build-up, because we saw with the Infinity Saga and Thanos that the build-up is as important as the actual appearances that the villain makes in movies. Like, you saw it from movies coming up to Infinity War and the Avengers series. You had Thanos in the post-credit scenes and stuff like that. Yeah. I don't feel like they did that a lot with Kang. Yeah. Like, I know Kang is supposed to be the intimidating on the same level as Thanos, maybe even a step above Thanos in terms of threat level. Yeah. But they just haven't presented it like that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's been interesting.
So with all of the timelines, we saw Loki not necessarily controlling everyone's fate, but making sure everyone's able to choose have their own choices, their free will at the end of the show with all the infinite timelines. What kind of timelines would you guys want to see the most? And do you think there's a timeline where we exist, where Loki was able to see his own show through our eyes? And what do you think he would have thought of that?
I definitely think that this universe exists in the other one.
I sure do think.
I would hope so. I mean,
on that level though, there is also a universe where the Mole Men exist. Like there's infinite, like the Mole Men are very important. They're very important to the MCU canon. So like that I do think is important. But no, I do think that there is one universe where he's just like watching us right now, and it's like,
hi Loki.
Yo, what up, dog?
Is there a universe where I'm a bodybuilder?
Sure.
Oh my god. What? Who wouldn't want to see that? Nah, honestly though, if we're talking about like multiverses and like universes, One where maybe Iron Man survived would be an interesting one. Because
Okay.
that would be interesting to see how he interacts with everybody
Yeah.
in the current Marvel saga.
Though in that same vein, there is also a universe where Multiverse of Madness is the best Marvel movie.
Oh,
so
Multiverse of Madness is a good Marvel movie.
yeah, but it's
But
not
the
the best.
Oh, not the best, but like it's good.
All right,
Yeah,
you're,
that's a
you know
scary
what? You're
universe.
right. There's a universe where Ant-Man Quantumania is the best.
No, there's not. But moving on, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. The trailer came out just the other day. What are you guys' initial thoughts on yet another massive science fiction genre? We already have Star Wars, Dune's hitting it off right now, Loki even, science fiction. What are you guys' opinions on the trailer and just thoughts of another sci-fi?
So I saw the trailer. I gotta say this. I like Zack Snyder as a director. I like him well enough, that is. He's not the best director, but he can make an entertaining movie. That
Yeah.
said, I don't know how it's gonna go. It looked interesting. I heard it got an R rating, so we'll see how that goes. But I think it's gonna come off as a kind of a knockoff of Star Wars at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like some of the things that I've heard is that it's like a combination of Star Wars and Dune, which I think fits it perfectly. I think that like while the VFX so far look really good, especially compared to some of the other stuff that exists right now, I do think that it's not really a genre that I've ever personally been able to get into. As I don't know, I feel like there's just like so much like you need to know before getting into science fiction as a whole.
Okay.
So I'm probably not gonna watch it, but that doesn't mean I'm not gonna. If it does come out and it's a great movie, doesn't mean I'm not gonna be like, oh hey, this is a really good movie. You guys should go watch it.
Yeah, for me personally, sci-fi is like high fantasy kind of stuff. You need to have some background knowledge, like he said, about the kind of stuff. Like for me, it took me a little bit to get into Star Wars because just sitting down and watching a movie, I didn't understand anything at first. I feel like that's how it's going to be with this one. Yeah, it's
You just kind of need to understand the world behind it before you do a full dive into it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So it is already been confirmed for part 1 and 2. Part 1 comes out in December. Part 2, I believe, comes out in April of next year. How do you guys feel about that just right away instead of waiting for part 1 to finish and release before they announce a part 2?
Right away, I think it's too close together. The parts are.
Okay.
I would say have like a year gap between it. And if it's a good movie, you build up the anticipation. You get people excited to watch the second part. If this movie doesn't do as well in the box office, then who's going to want to see the next movie in April? I
Yeah.
don't think anyone.
The anticipation is really important. Like it takes a lot to come right out and be like, hey, this is a 2-part movie. Like not even Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse came out and said it was going to be a 2-part movie, even though it is.
I mean, if it is a 2-part movie, though, you have to think that means that the people who screened it at first were so impressed that they were like, we need a second part. We got 2 parts. We need 2 movies.
Yeah.
But
And
then again, the critics are sometimes
Maybe
wrong.
they just wanted to split it up because they didn't want another Zack Snyder's Justice League because no one wants to sit down for 4 hours and watch that.
You're telling me you didn't sit down for 4 hours and watch the
I
Zack
did.
Snyder
I
Justice
did.
League?
I've done it multiple
didn't.
times.
Oh, multiple?
But
At least
I mean,
3.
like the average person may not want to. But moving on from Zack Snyder and his movies that he makes, certainly. Game of the Year nominations came out the other day. Spider-Man 2 was a big one for me personally. What games have you guys played that's on that list that you guys want to win?
So I've played some of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I have to say, I was a big fan. I am a little bit of a geek when it comes to like Mario kind of stuff like that. I love the 2D scrolling side games. So
Okay.
that one was fun to see. Other than that, it was what was it? What was the one movie? It was
Alan Wake?
Alan Wake. That's right.
Alan
Alan Wake
Wake
2. Alan Wake 2. That one.
Jinx.
I'll get you a soda later. Don't worry.
Hey,
No.
that's all I'm asking for.
No, that one looked really interesting. Baldur's Gate 3 also was the one that I was looking into.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I feel like there's 3 really strong contenders, and then there's 3 not as strong contenders. And for me, that's Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man, and Tears of the Kingdom. Because I feel like Tears of the Kingdom became such a huge thing, and it's been influencing even the original Breath of the Wild was influencing like open world games so much, and they just built on top of it. Spider-Man, the Marvel Spider-Man 2 is got great storytelling. It's really fluid.
And you can see it right here.
And you can
if
see
you
it
did
right
not realize
there.
that already.
And then Baldur's Gate 3, it's been in production for so long, and as a massive D&D fan, the fact that they were able to translate the D&D mechanics into a video game so well is like baffling. Like all the way from like all the spell mechanics working, the different racial bonuses, being able to kick a squirrel for no reason. It's all perfect for D&D. And I think that it definitely should win Baldur's Gate 3.
I have to go out and play Baldur's Gate 3 now.
Yeah, honestly,
good.
that sounds
So
like I
good.
gotta kick a squirrel. Those things are annoying sometimes.
Honestly,
Like,
do
my,
you
dog,
have
my dog just keeps barking at him.
Well, I mean, there's only one like squirrel scene, so
Oh, well. Well,
Just
it'll be
replay
worth it
that.
to play then.
yeah, it's all right.
Do you guys feel like there were any games left out of the nominations, or you feel like everything got in there pretty well?
Starfield.
Starfield? Okay. No, okay.
No,
Just
actually,
going-
I feel like Starfield definitely could have been in there, especially over like Resident Evil 4.
I feel like for all the hype around Starfield, though, it just didn't deliver. Because I heard, like, when it was coming out, like, oh, Starfield's coming out, and after that, nothing. I heard nothing.
I heard there were a
about
lot
it.
of like bugs with it. People didn't
Yeah,
like how
that's-
only 10% of the planets were populated with things to do. I heard there were a lot of people did. I heard more negative than positive, essentially.
Yeah. So,
Right.
Yeah, it sucks. Because Bethesda, I do like their games. They make good ones.
Yeah.
I feel like they've released so many like really good games this year that it is like a struggle to narrow it down. Though in my opinion, Resident Evil 4 is a remake, so putting it on again is a little weird, but that's just me. I mean, some people might be happy about it, but you know, I'm Baldur's Gate 3 all the way, so.
Yeah. Well, Pedro Pascal yesterday was officially introduced as Mr. Fantastic, or the Fantastic Four. Do we like this casting? For me, he seems a little old. I feel like, trying to get in there, but maybe he's a multiverse. He's been doing it for a while. But what are you guys' initial thoughts on the casting?
Pedro
of the
Pascal
Mandalorian?
is the Taylor Swift of television, I feel, because he's everywhere now. I feel like in the past year, he's been everywhere to me. Does that make sense? Like, he's been in The Last of Us. Now he's going to be in this.
Is he
upcoming-
dating Travis Kelce?
No, I
Not
will
with
give you that.
attitude. I mean, hey, you
Because
never know.
if he is, we need to know. We need to break it on this show. Do
We
you have
do.
any
We need to-
insider information for
I
us?
do not know.
No, okay.
unfortunately. But no, I think that it's an interesting casting. I think he'll do good at it. I was kind of getting excited to see John Krasinski
Yes,
in the role.
I wanted John Krasinski back. I felt like he was done dirty by Wanda.
Doctor Strange got my hopes up, and yeah.
I was the only one who cheered in my theater. It was really embarrassing. I
I'm
was
really-
like, yes! And then everyone else was silent. I was like, yo, is this a Marvel movie or what? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here?
I was so excited, and then he got turned into a bunch of capital S's, like little squiggly worms. Like, I really like John Krasinski as like Mr. Fantastic because like he looks a good amount like Mr. Fantastic, and while Pedro doesn't look as much like the original comic version, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like I think that I've always really enjoyed picking people based off acting merit rather than anything else.
Absolutely.
And he's already a well-established, like really good actor. And I think that he definitely can do well. The only problem is that every single Fantastic Four movie has been hot garbage. Oh God, hotter than the Human Torch going over to a dumpster fire. Like it's not good. But hopefully we can break the cycle. And Morgan Freeman for Invisible Woman.
Interesting.
That's a take. What are other casting choices? Because I don't think anybody else wants to see Morgan Freeman as the Invisible Woman.
When they were first like doing the mock casting for this, I read a report that Margot Robbie would have played the Invisible Woman, and that would have been incredible. I would have loved that personally.
Yeah.
Other than that, Adam Driver as Mr. Fantastic was another one that I heard.
I want to see Adam Driver as Doctor Doom. I think
Oh
he'd
That would be
my
good.
really
God, that would be I didn't even think of that.
All right,
That's
guys.
incredible.
Dream casting for me: Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic.
Okay.
Invisible Woman is Morgan Freeman.
Yes.
Then we got Anya Taylor-Joy as the Thing.
What?
And then
Whoa.
lastly, for the Human Torch, none other than Vin Diesel himself.
Oh.
All right, this is a family movie, but not that kind of family
You're
movie.
right, but the thing is, for Doctor Doom, Peter Dinklage.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Speaking of
Chris
Peter,
Pratt as
no, we're done.
Mr. Fantastic.
Absolutely not. Peter Dinklage has a new movie coming out. Speaking of new movies, Hunger Games comes out this weekend. Napoleon and Wish next week for Thanksgiving. Dream Scenario, an A24 movie with Nicolas Cage, also comes out. And Silent Night, which is like an action adventure, kind of like Violent Night, what we saw last year. What movies are you guys most excited for?
For me personally, Napoleon has been on the top of my list. I love Joaquin Phoenix. He's always been a great actor. This one's going to be an Oscar nominee for me, I feel. Other than that, Wish, it looks like a classic Disney movie, and I'm a big sucker for cartoons, Disney movies like that.
Okay.
So I'm excited for that. Other than that, not on the list. Have you seen the trailers for that Thanksgiving movie? Like that slasher thing?
Thanksgiving?
No.
Thanksgiving, is that what it's called?
No, wait, it is called Thanksgiving, but
It's
there is
just
a Thanksgiving movie.
That's the one I'm excited to see because it's like this guy in a pilgrim mask and he's going around like he's like killing people with butcher knives and stuff. It looks campy and amazing.
Seems like it could be a good time.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, absolutely.
I personally am hoping that we can pull Sonic the movie and make Wish's music actually sound good. There's been like so much backlash about like the fact that the main villain song sounds AI generated, which it does, to be fair. But like I'm hoping that maybe they'll like see the error of their ways and, you know, maybe like make it sound a bit more like human.
I mean, if you listen to any of the Disney songs more than like once, it starts to get repetitive, AI generated almost. That's how it felt for Let It Go.
Hellfire!
Like fire. Oh God.
But yeah, Silent Night seems pretty interesting, and for people who really follow the Hunger Games, I think that's going to be a really good installment.
Yeah, the Hunger Games one seems interesting. I didn't read the book that it's based off of. It's like a prequel, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Star Wars? Yeah, I've never read that one.
All right. That's all the time we have today. I'm your host, Daniel, along with Owen and Anthony. Join us next week for another riveting discussion of pop culture. Have a great night, Millersville.